Morning, children. So now it's time for us to start with a new lesson, and that is about some other major features of our Earth. Okay. So in the last part, actually, we have seen some details about the maps, globe, and all. Now we have to study the physical features of the Earth on a what we call it, an improved way. Okay, in a better way. We know Earth is the only planet on this Earth which supports life, and there are some basic reasons behind it. One, this is the only planet which has water, and this is also the only planet which has an atmosphere. Isn't it? Earth is the only planet in this universe which has an atmosphere. Okay. Now, we'll forget the water content first of all, and this is what we want: atmosphere. So, what do you mean by atmosphere? What do you mean by atmosphere? So, atmosphere is the thick layer of air that surrounds the Earth, isn't it? So, the Earth has got a thick layer of air, and this air is called the atmosphere. Right? So, this is one of the most important features or the specialities of the Earth. It has a thick layer of air covering it. Okay, and there are some kind of changes that are happening in this atmosphere. So, this layer of air which is around the Earth undergo some kinds of changes. And these changes, some are short for a short time, and some are for a long time. Okay, so weather is the kind of changes that happens in this atmosphere for a shorter period of time. Okay, for a shorter period of time, the changes that happens in the atmosphere for a shorter period of time is called weather, and the changes that happens for a longer period of time is called climate. Right? So there are some changes that is happening within this atmosphere, and the changes that happens for a shorter period of time is called weather, and a longer period is called climate. Right? So, it's something like an average weather condition over a period of time. And an average weather condition over a period of time is called a climate. And the next level from climate, we go for seasons. So, what are the major seasons? What are the major seasons on the Earth? We have a summer season. We have a winter season. We have a spring season, and we have a autumn season. So these are the four major seasons on the Earth: summer, winter, spring, autumn. So summer is very hot, winter is very cool, spring, fresh showers will be there. And it's a season when we have new plants and all, beginning of summer. Okay, before summer we have it. And autumn is actually before winter, when they shed the leaves, the plants, the trees shed their leaves, and they become ready to face the snowfall that they have to face. Right? So summer, winter, spring, and autumn are the four seasons. Okay. Now, based on the climate, there are a lot of changes happening actually. So, if it is a rainy, if the climate of a region has a lot of rain in that, the kinds of trees that grow over there or the animals who live over there also changes. If it is very hot over a region, we have seen camel. Camel lives in the desert region because it can live in the desert region. It has specialities. So the animals, the plants, the human beings, and the lifestyles of the people also change based on the climatic conditions. Right? So climate and weather has got such a great importance on this Earth's surface. So Earth is covered by a thick layer of air called atmosphere. There are some changes that is happening within this atmosphere, and that is called weather and the climate. The changes that is happening for a shorter period of time is called the weather, and something that is happening for the longer time period is called the climate, or average weather conditions of a place over a period of time is called a climate. When the average climatic conditions are chosen, then we get seasons. The major seasons are summer, winter, spring, and autumn seasons. Right? The lifestyle of the people, then the kind of animals and the plants that grow and live in a particular region actually has some influence based on the climatic and weather conditions of the region. Okay. Now, what are the factors? What are the factors that influence the climate of a region? What are the factors? There are so many factors which can have its influence on the climatic conditions. For example, temperature. See, some regions on the earth receives direct heavy rainfall, sunlight, and some other regions do not receive that heat. Isn't it? For example, if we check the map of India, on the western side we have a Thar desert, and the eastern side we have a rainforest. Isn't it? So the Rajasthan region is in the west, and where we have the Thar desert, and in the east we have the northeastern states of Assam, Mozambique, Cherrapunji region, which receives the highest rainfall in the world. So, if the distribution of heat is the same on both these places, then will there be such a huge change in the climatic conditions over there? The weather conditions over there? One is a very thick forest regions, and the other is a very dry desert region. Okay. So, even though sun is the major source for heat and light as far as the earth is concerned, the distribution of heat and light is not the same to different places. Right? It's not the same. So, when it is not the same, what happens? Some places receive too much heat and some places receive very less heat. So, the places which receive too much heat becomes hotter, and the places which receive less heat becomes comparatively cooler. Okay. So, distribution of temperature is one basic feature. There are so many other features also which actually plays a vital role in deciding the climatic and weather condition of a place. Okay. So, we will start them one by one. So, the first major reason or a factor that affects the climate of a region is a distance from the equator. Right? So, how far is a place located from the equator? Okay, we know. So, Earth is more of a geoid shape, which is a bulge at the center and a flattened on top, isn't it? Yes. And if this is the equator, these are the other latitudes. Okay. So, this region around the equator actually receives very high sunlight, isn't it? When we go north or south, what happens? See, this is where we receive the sunlight around the equator, but on top, the sun rays has to travel a lot more than that of how much it has to travel to reach the equator. Means, see, there is a distance, there is a difference in the distance. Here the sunlight reaches only up to here, but here it has to travel extra. So when it travels extra, what happens? It becomes weaker. Isn't it? Yes. So the place which is very close to the sun or where the sunlight can reach faster is hotter. Huh? And becomes cooler where, yeah, it takes a lot of time. So definitely that will be cooler. Okay. So the places around the equator receives a lot of sunlight directly from the sun, and that is happening at a very short distance when compared to some other areas on the earth. So the area around the equator will be hotter than the other regions. And as we move towards the poles, the sunlight have to travel a lot more distance to reach the land, and as it travels more, it becomes weak, and the heat and light in that also will become reduced. Right? So the areas around the equator are hotter than the polar regions. So based on this, we have got three different zones